Hello and welcome, artists. I'm Christine Marks. Today we are taking my fall sketch leaves and we're going to paint them with watercolor. So let's dive in. Now we've got my fall colors. Most of these over here are Daniel Smith paints. I will link the colors below, but you can use any yellow, red, these Indian yellow colors. And I'm going to add this one. It's a Perline Maroon from Holbein that I picked up when I was at Dick Blick. And it just looked like a real nice fall color. So let's rip my paper towel. I've got my number 6 Velvet Touch. Yeah, I have a 6 and a 5. I'll go with the 6. And then I also have, I don't want to use that. That's what we'll use right now. You can probably use one brush for the whole thing. Now here's the red maple. We'll start with that, and we're gonna use just plain water, or you can use a touch of, that's a nice brown. I like that. This is the Perline Maroon from Holbein. Now let me pay a little more attention to the lines here. And you're just gonna come in with a light wash of the Perline Maroon to start and make it a little more wet than not. Again, very watered down, because we're gonna come back in. You don't want it like running down the page, but you also don't want it too dry. You want to have plenty of water on here. And I forgot to mention, I'm working on, this is not an expensive, this is a Canson watercolor book that I've been just doing what I'm doing is I'm sketching every day, because I can't always get to my paints, but I can, when I am places, get out to sketch. So I'm sketching things that I want to paint, and then when I have a chance to get into the studio, I'm probably not the first person to think of it, but I felt a little bit like a genius when I thought of it. I thought, well, you don't have to do it all in one fell swoop. Now I'm going to come in again and even add a little more water up here with a little more of the Perline Maroon. And then we're gonna come in with a darker amount, more pigment and less water on your brush. Oh, that moves really nicely for not expensive paper. We're gonna come in, and it's not really outlining it, because, I mean, you would think it's an outline. If you look at fall leaves, they've got, generally have the darker color out near the outer leaves. And so it's pretty accurate. I don't have my reference photo from the leaf that I used for this, but I've got a driveway full of sugar maples outside. So for the next month, I'm gonna have tons of photo reference. I like the way that's moving. Again, for the Canson watercolor, that's just kind of my like sketch fun, not my regular Etcher sketchbook, but one that's a little more affordable. Now, what I'm gonna do, I can never find, this is a little more something kind of sharp to get in here. And if you go like this, I'm gonna put in the veins with something sharp. I had tried using the back side of this. I wasn't real happy with it. Oh, and I'm not really happy with this right here, is drying, not wet enough. Let's go like this. And with these areas where there's a hard line, rinse your brush, dry it off, and then drag it out with just a damp brush. There we go. Oh, so I like that. Let's see, I'm gonna add a little more of this here. And we can come down the stem here because it's on this red maple, the same color as the leaf. Good. Now, while that's wet, I'm actually also going to drop in there, I don't know if I want to use yellow, Indian yellow. I've got over here, it's quinacridone red. Let me see, make sure there's no, let me see about this. Oh, I like that color. Okay, gonna drop this in here. A little bit at the top while this is still wet. And again, I'm working a little faster on dropping in this color because the paper is less expensive and it's not 100% cotton. So if you're doing this on 100% cotton, you're gonna have a little more working time than I am here. And we'll go with a little more red pigment around here. These are so beautifully bright and vibrant that I want to go in, especially since watercolor dries a little lighter. I'm going to go back in with a little more. I don't know if I want to go in. I'm going to keep this one dark. Could go in with like a more of a cadmium, but after I dropped this quinacridone gold or red in, I'll have it linked in here. I'm gonna go back in with the red. So these are making a nice, I almost feel like you can't put too much color on a fall leaf. I could be wrong, but and this one has some veins coming up here. You don't have to do the indent for all the veins. You can do the other veins just with your brush. There we go. Maybe a little bit darker in here. Come on. There we go. I'll bring this all the way up. There we go. So now we've got, and you can also go in and add more color, you know, darker in certain areas. It's never or hardly ever one color. Let me see about adding, I was thinking about adding a little, this Indian yellow. I don't really want to take away from the red, and I've got an alizarin here. Let's add a little alizarin too, just to brighten this up. Oh, that's much more, that's much redder. Kind of takes over some of that brown, but I like that. See, this is, you all are experimenting with me here. I did not do like a, usually I do a pre-video, but not today. Today I just wanted to hop in here with these colors. Let's see, add a little more red in here. This is alizarin, permanent alizarin crimson. There we go. And if it's too dry, kind of drag it out. There we go. All right, I like that. Now the next one is the yellow maple leaf, and we're going to start that with some Indian yellow, which is also it's a very translucent color, which I love. I like to start with not an opaque color on your leaves. You want it to be translucent, and because you're going to be dropping more color into it, and you can keep the whole thing translucent, but if you're going to add the opaque colors, like the cadmium colors are a little more opaque, cad yellow, I would wait until the end on those. Get your transparent colors in first. And again, keeping it kind of wet so this is wet on dry, then we're going in with wet on wet after this so that the colors do their magical moving around and blending. I mean, watercolor creates the kind of blends that you couldn't possibly intentionally do with other types of paint. Now, I like to go in with the same color, more pigment, less water. The more water that's in there, I want this to run. So it is a heavily pigmented, but also lots of water blend that I'm putting on here, not just, if I didn't want it to move so much, it would be just more pigment and less water. But with fall leaves, I mean, what I'm looking for is this blending of pigments that run all over the place and go a little crazy. So you do want it to be a wet, more pigmented blend. Go mix a little more color in, go back to the little points here, drop it in. Okay, I don't like the movement on this one. I'll come back after I drop all of this. You know, I'm just gonna kind of drop it in areas. There we go. This, I washed and patted dry my brush. Just kind of pull it out a little bit so we don't get these little naked spots. I'm gonna come in with a little even more pigment. You can do this 2 or 3 times while it's wet. I don't know, with leaves, it's almost like this really cool continual layer after layer of pigment. Now I am going to use the edge of my paint, which is in my other hand. This is nice and sharp. I tried using this the other day, and the edge of that backside of these paintbrushes is too rounded to get a nice thick look like this one. Now this comes all the way down, and it meets up with this one that comes out here, and this one like that. There we go. Okay, and let me pull the little, I don't have the little tail painted here. Even a little darker. Boop. Now see what a nice, now you can come back in with this indentation and go over it again with your pigment and your brush, and you can do the other veins if you want. These are nice and thin. Now I'm not doing exactly what I have on my, if you downloaded the print, I'm not going by exactly what my veins are. I've looked at maple leaves forever. There we go. Now you can go in with. A little more. Get this running up the veins. And it'll also kind of move around a little. And now I am gonna drop in a little bit of some bright cad. Let's see. I'm gonna drop in some bright yellow to mix with this translucent. Let's see. I don't want to get rid of those beautiful veins. So let's see. Let me go like this. Just maybe do it in the kind of dropped in a few places. There we go. So this is more of a yellow maple, red maple. These were just regular old leaves. I don't know what kind of tree they're off of, but the ones that I saw were green in the center with a red outline. So you're gonna come in with a yellowish green. It was a light green, not a real dark green. And now I am going to, rather than going in super wet on this, I'm gonna let that sit and dry a little bit, not a lot, just a little. And I hope it cooperates with me. Fill it in with the green. And you can do your little, you can drop your dark color in, even though we're gonna go around it with red. It'll still look nice. Now we're gonna do the third leaf with a light green. I mean, anytime you can with leaves, drop in darker pigment. The watercolor does a lot of the work for you in terms of beautiful color. And instead of using the this little indent thing, I'm just gonna pull it with my paintbrush because this has a nice tip on it. Now, before I put the red around here that I want to run a little bit, just not a lot, what we'll do is we'll come over to this ginkgo leaf right here and we'll come in. These are bright yellow, but we will come in with the Indian yellow underneath first. And fill in your ginkgo leaf. Confused myself with my yellows there. Okay, and now what you want to do, there we go, is you do want to come in with the brighter, I'm going to come in with a brighter, darker yellow, more like a cad medium, which is actually on my thing mixed with a bunch of green. Now see, I didn't make this is not super wet everywhere. There, that part is. I'm gonna come around. So you're just gonna come around the perimeter of the leaf, and you can use the tip of your brush to just pull this down. There we go. And they are bright, bright yellow. So that, now I'm gonna come in with even a bismuth yellow, which is really bright. I'm just gonna put that on top here. I left the pencil a little darker so that you could see it on the camera. Generally, I would remove most of it so you couldn't even see it. But just came in with a real bright. There we go. There is your ginkgo leaf. And what do we have left? An oak leaf. Now the oak leaf, I'm gonna use this like, it's a yellow ochre. It's one of the earth, you know, it's an earth tone. It's not bright like the other colors that I'm using. Although Indian yellow's kind of an earthy tone. But this is a real, you know, like raw sienna, raw umber. A real nice earthy tone. I'm going to do the bottom here. And, you know, I have a real dark, super dark brown here. This is like kind of like a Van Dyke brown. I'm gonna bring this in for a few dots on. I could have done it when it was wet on this maple, but it's, you know, when you look at leaves in nature, there are usually some spots that, you know, the leaf is dying. It's fallen off the tree. So let's just drop in a few little spots of real dark, and especially down here. Let's see. Make it real dark right here. There we go. You can do little drops and holes if you want. Or here, we can even come in, since this is wet, you can come around the outline with a little bit of dark. Now this, I don't think I wetted enough. And again, I should have been, if I were doing this to keep or to frame, it wouldn't be on my practice paper. This is my like practice and demonstrate pretty much the colors and the colors mostly, which colors to use. So if you download this to follow, you can copy this onto good watercolor paper, and the only thing that's going to happen is it's going to run so much nicer. Now this, you know, some colors run a lot. They go crazy. Some don't run much at all. This oak leaf has not run much at all. What I am going to do is I'm going to actually do some lifting here. Or in the leaves. I'm a left-hander, so my hand always goes in my work, which is not good. We're gonna just lift out some of this, lighten it up a little bit. And the oak leaves around my lake are all kind of like sad looking and half dead like this. I think I'm just gonna kind of go over it with a little straight yellow in the middle, because they are they lean a little more, certain varieties, to yellow. Now that's that for that. Now we're gonna go into the acorns, and the acorns I am going to do, I'm gonna do the whole thing in this transparent iron oxide. And then I'm going to come back with, I'm going way too heavy. Let's see. Let's go like this. We want our super watery version because I want to drop in some dark brown. This comes down a little circle with this little point. And this as well. We're getting close, and then almost, oops, I forgot about my green things over there. My just plain leaves is what they're called, which is good because I'll let this sit for a minute. Bring this around here, this around here. Here's what we're gonna do. Gonna go in with the maroon. We're gonna go around these leaves, and I used a lot of pigment and very little water so that I wouldn't get a big run of color here. Because the leaves that I based this on, that's how they looked. They even had some red up the middle here, and you could switch to a detail brush to do the little veins. I'm gonna leave it like that. And let's see. If I had done this right after I laid the green in, it would run a lot more. I think it's a little dry for me. I would have preferred it to run a little bit. Here, I'll show you if I switch to the detail brush. That's how much smaller. The veins are a little more realistic if you see how pretty those are. Those are a little more leafy looking. I'll use this to go around here. And if you push harder, you do get a bigger line. That goes behind there. Whoops. And I'll go. See how tiny and airy those are? I'll go like this and go all the way down. And then also do the stems. Now we're going to go into the acorns while they are still wet, and we're going to use the very dark brown. And we'll even go in, we're going to go in around the bottom where the shadow would be on the acorn. And there's a shadow here as well underneath. And we're also going to go around the entire cap because this is darker than the acorn. I'm going to lift some of this and keep that pretty reddish brown underneath there. Now, because it's kind of like a chestnut brown. Now what you want to do is, I could come in with like a black pen, but I think I'm just going to come in with a super dark, might even be too wet. Let's see if I do a little tiny, this is a lot of pigment and a little water. We're going to put that under there and let that run for the acorns. Not my favorite, but I'll have to come back at those on another video. Okay, last one. We're going to do the berries. And the berries are very easy. I'm going to use this. Oh, my brain is frozen. Permanent alizarin crimson. I also have a cranberry color here, but this, let me see. I don't think I want to use the cranberry color. It's a little too pink. Let's use the alizarin crimson. And we're just going to go around in a circle. And we're going to leave a little white dot. Now, I like this brush. I don't think I could use a smaller, I could use a smaller brush. If you want to, you can use a smaller brush, but I think this one is just perfect. And try not to leave you don't want the highlight in the exact same places on the berries. You want it in generally the same place, but not, and you don't want them all the same size. Now you can come back in here. I could drop a different color, or I can come back in and drop the same color, just a little bit more pigment. Let's see. This one, I'm not even going to do a highlight on. I'm going to bring him around here. And they don't have to be perfectly round. I mean, they're close to round. You don't want them to look square, but there we go. Now, let me see about dropping a little maroon or Perline maroon in here. Oh, that's a nice color. You could also come in with a little blue that would darken it, but a little Perline maroon is fine too. So let's do this. Oh, that went into my other one, which is fine. There we go. This guy is hidden behind here. And this one down here. These are kind of meditative to paint, I feel like. There we go. And this one's just going to be solid. And you can come in again with a little darker Perline, or you can come in with a lot of pigment from the ultramarine, and it'll give it a nice little kind of shaded area down here. These two dried a little funky. Let's see, that one's not round enough, and let's kind of bring this up. And anywhere where you really were, like I went rogue there and I made it not at all round at the bottom, round it off a little. There we go. Now these have the little stem attached to them. I would use something like this or a pen and come in. Whoa, that was all water and no pigment. And I'm just using a light brown. Comes down here and here, here. This goes here. There we go. And there are your berries. I forgot my little ginkgo leaf. I'll just add that like that. And voila, that's it. Now, if you like, you could go over it too with a micron when you're done. I love the way, what are they? Not pen and ink. Yeah, pen and ink and wash. I love the way sketchbook kind of where you go over it with black pen. Really kind of brings out. And this is pretty good. It doesn't go over wet, like you notice this is kind of bumping out here. But there's your ginkgo leaf. You could do it for any of these leaves, or here, or add little details like the bottoms of these usually are a little darker. This, with the acorns, what I would do is go do the little cute little helmets they wear with little crisscrossy lines. And if it gets stuck, just wipe it off on another piece of paper and get back in there. There we go. And I would even go so far as to go around the caps on these. There. And that's it. These are your cute little fall montage. Thank you for joining me, and you can go to Stan Store to download the pencil sketch of this. Have a great day.